So let's talk about dating in Kampala. On the surface, it looks electric, right? It's all high energy, super fast paced. But if you kind of peek under the hood, there's a way more complicated story going on. And it's a story where real, genuine connection is getting all tangled up with, well, some pretty serious financial pressure.
I mean, that's a bold question, isn't it? But wow, does it hit the nail on the head? It perfectly captures this huge conflict we're going to dig into today. In today's relationships, where's the line? Where does love end and, financial planning begin?
And let's be honest, this is the highlight reel we all see. It's the perfect Instagram feed, right? The late night drives, the fancy brunches, the supposedly deep conversations over cocktails. It's this incredible mix of energy and what looks like connection, and it makes you think, man, that is perfect. But is that the whole story? Probably not.
And that question leads us right into the real tension here. What's the goal? Is it to find a genuine, deep connection? Or is it really just about funding a certain kind of lifestyle? So let's break down these unspoken pressures that, believe me, both men and women are feeling.
Okay, so for a lot of guys, there's this quiet but huge expectation to provide the entire dating experience. And I'm not just talking about paying for dinner. We're talking funding the transport, buying the gifts, basically being the architect of the whole perfect night. And you can see how that easily creates this feeling that your value is tied directly to what's in your wallet. And then on the flip side, you've got a matching expectation. For a lot of women, seeing real, visible effort is how they measure someone's interest, their affection. But here's the thing. In this kind of dating scene, effort often gets translated directly into how much money is being spent. So what you have is this pressure cooker building up on both sides, and nobody's really talking about it out loud. So all this pressure, it creates this fundamental split in how people even approach dating. It really comes down to two paths. Are you just looking for good vibes, or are you dating with actual intention? Now, these two paths, they might look almost identical when you start out, but trust me, they end up in completely different places. Okay, so let's define dating for vibes. It's really all about living in the moment. It's exciting, it's fun, it's built on that electric spark you feel with somebody. And hey, let's be clear, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that spark. But the key phrase to pay attention to here is avoiding deeper connection. And this is where you can really see the difference side by side. Vibes, it's like staying in the shallow end of the pool. It's all about enjoyment, having a good time, but there's no real direction. On the other hand, dating with intention, that's about getting into the deep end. It's asking the tough questions, figuring out if your goals actually line up, and trying to build something that's going to last longer than just a good mood. So here's the bottom line. That initial energy, that spark, the vibes, it's like the starter for a car's engine. You absolutely need it to get going, but it's not the fuel. It's not what's going to keep that engine running when you hit all of life's bumps and twists and turns in the road. And this is where things get tricky. Because when a relationship is running only on vibes and expensive experiences, it almost always falls into what we can call the temporary trap. Sure, it feels amazing for a little while, but the foundation, it's just so weak that it's almost certainly not going to last. And what's so fascinating is how all these points feed into each other and create this vicious cycle. Think about it. When a relationship is built on spending, the expectations are never really clear. That makes people want to keep their options open, right? Which, let's be honest, is usually just a way to hide a fear of real commitment. And then it just goes round and round. So this is where the cracks really start to show. Let's ask some tough questions. First up, if the entire relationship is built on going out and spending money, what happens when one of you or both of you just can't afford it anymore? Okay, next question. What happens when real life hits? A brutal week at work, family drama, personal stress. Those things are definitely not good vibes. So can the connection actually survive when things stop being fun and easy all the time? And finally, the big one. What happens when that initial blazing hot feeling just cools down a little bit? Because it always does. If there's no real connection, no mutual respect, no shared goals under the surface, well, the relationship just kind of fizzles out. Okay, so how do we break out of this temporary trap? It really is all about shifting the focus, about building something real. So let's take a look at what a more sustainable, a more meaningful approach to dating actually looks like. You see, building something real,
It's not about the price tag on the menu. It's about the quality of the connection. It's about actually understanding each other. It's about respecting effort in all of its forms, not just the financial ones. And it means being brutally honest when you communicate. It all boils down to asking one simple question. Are we actually building something together here?
And finding that healthy balance it's absolutely key. This means recognizing that effort can show up in a million different ways that have nothing to do with money. It means having those slightly awkward, but totally necessary conversations about what you both actually expect from this. And maybe most importantly, it means learning to find real joy in the simple moments, not just the perfectly staged, expensive ones.
So, at the end of the day, it comes down to this. In a world that's so focused on appearances, on spending, and on chasing those temporary good feelings, the real challenge is to not lose sight of what actually matters. Because if we aren't careful, we might find out we're not really building relationships at all. We're just passing time in style instead of building a love that's meant to last.